We are live. Welcome back, everybody, to Behind the Tool Belt, episode 249. We're coming up on our 5-year mark here. We are coming to you live from Arrowhead Stadium, Kansas City, Missouri. Not Kansas City, but
Missouri side.
Mistaken for Kansas City. But we are in Kansas City, Missouri. That is, if you check out the weather, make sure you're on Missouri and not Kansas. Because I made that mistake. I know it sounds weird, but I didn't put 2 and 2 together that the Chiefs are actually in Missouri, not Kansas.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's confusing.
So, I had a blonde moment two mornings ago. I thought, oh shit, did I book the wrong flights? And so I had to dig through my emails and shit, make sure I got the hotel in the right city and book the right flights and shit, and make sure I didn't have to cancel everything. But anyhow,
You're here.
we're here. We made it. We're with my good friends, Robert Posey, John Abernathy. Met him last night. So pretty cool dude. We'll talk a little bit about his story. I think that's going to be pretty interesting. And my best friend, one of my best friends, one of many, because Robert is one of my best friends too. I don't feel sad. Chris Hofstra with Leeds.
We'll be best friends.
Yeah, we're all best friends.
Yep.
But anyhow, we're here and we're at the Limitless Event Summit here in Kansas City.
GPO.
Yeah. What's GIA?
Yeah.
I think it is is it G-Haw, Gay-Haw, Gia, something.
GIA.
I've heard it called 15 different things in the last 2 days. So.
GEHA is where we're at.
That works.
Yeah. So anyhow, Robert, why don't you go first and tell us what we're doing here?
All right. So Limitless Roofing Group puts on a summit once a year. This is number 2. One of our partners, TAMCO, has a relationship with, and you can help me with this. You guys have had a relationship with the Kansas City Chiefs for some time, and
yeah, I think we're on year 2, I believe. I'm only 5 months into my position at TAMCO, so I'm still a little green.
Yeah,
but we got I think the next 6 years we are the official roofing sponsor of the Kansas City Chiefs.
Like the
pretty
official shingle of the Kansas City
Correct.
Chiefs.
Yeah, it's everywhere back there.
Yeah. So we started having conversations. Actually, really, really some phenomenal stuff that TAMCO's doing to work with contractors and to build relationships with the roofing community. John's been appointed the main guy for this. So he brought us in to TAMCO. We had some great conversations, and they volunteered their relationship with the Kansas City Chiefs to allow us to have this event here. So we've got, I think, 250 contractors now. Jenna Lawson has done a phenomenal job putting this thing together.
She has.
We've got some great sponsors. Lead Scout.
Yep.
Chris.
Proud sponsor over here.
Yep. And yeah, it's going to be a party. We're going to have some phenomenal speakers.
We're going to have a great time today.
Yep, we are.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. Thank you guys for inviting us and carving out some time to allow us to do this. Typically, we do this Wednesday afternoons, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But with our flights, the conflict there, we won't be back in time tomorrow. So Jenna allowed us to use her little back room here. Box seat, actually.
A little bit.
Her private.
Her little closet that they store in. But no, this is great. I'm super excited to be here and be a part of this, the second annual summit for Limitless and the attraction that it is getting, because I heard you say 250 contractors.
250.
Wow, that's great. And what I love about this is the intimacy of it. Not that this is small, but the intimacy and the amount of networking that's going to take place, in the general vicinity of the stage. Everything's kind of in one room, so we're all going to be in there. There's going to be a lot of people. Like last night, I got to network with a lot of great people that I don't normally see at RoofCon and Roofing Process and SRC and stuff like that. There's a lot of different faces. But a good message, I think, is what the contractors are going to get today.
Yep. I remember last year it was at SRS in McKinney, Texas, and what I appreciated the most about it was, like you said, Ty, it was all right there in the same room. So I got to get all the education. I'm not a roofer. The thing is I'm working with roofers every day, so I got to get the same education that they were getting, and you delivered a hell of a speech, or just not speech, but just a talking a lot about your inside out approach, which maybe you want to talk about. But, I still use that stuff today on calls, right? A year later. So yeah, I'm looking forward to learning more today.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, let's talk a little bit about what John talked about
Yeah.
last year and then roll into how you found the position that you're in today.
So yeah, we do an inside outside approach to roofing sales, kind of splits up sales from, what's the word? Estimating and all that type of stuff, kind of a cleaner approach. Everybody does their own type job. So works really well, helps scale a company.
Okay.
So
like the salesperson gets to just go out and make sales and not like run the project and
Correct.
PM and all that stuff.
Yep.
Explain how you came up with that and how it's impacted your business and how you've been able to impact other businesses by teaching that.
We just basically over the years thought that salespeople were doing too much. Just want to kind of break it up. Sorry guys, I got a migraine today. It's kicking my butt. Told them on the skiing earlier that my head's really messing me up today. So it kind of helped streamline the process, broke sales down. Sales guys go sell, let people estimate from inside the office. Okay. So just kind of cleaned it up.
No, you were not doing that for a while.
Nope.
And I think I remember you saying how hard that transition was and you had to just kind of bite the bullet. But then what you found out was it actually was like the best thing for not only the company, but the guys that stayed, because you lost a couple of big hitters.
We lost some big hitters. That also, really honestly, your sales guys try to run the show. They get too big. They want to run everything. We need to streamline it where we weren't really training sales reps, to basically the ins and outs of roofing, and then they go become your competitor. Right. So, the company kind of come down a little bit. Then over time, as we rebuilt the team, got guys just focused on sales, things got really, really good.
Yeah. Now, during that transition, did they go from 1099 to W-2?
Correct. Yeah, we've seen it coming, the writing on the wall. We actually got hit with 1099ing salespeople and got a pretty good fine years ago before the laws really started changing the last couple of years. Yeah, so we got in early enough that it didn't cost us a fortune, but it cost us quite a bit. Mm-hmm. And so we went to W-2, got everybody on W-2. W-2 is a lot easier to kind of control sales reps where they don't feel like they're independent contractors, and you can kind of control the narrative of when they show up, when they go home. You can keep people working. It's like with me, I always feel like, hey, if you're in roofing, and you work for me, you need to be on the job. And a lot of times guys would come in and work a couple hours and they'd go home and you never knew what they were doing. And that was a more structured approach to roofing. As you get that, you got guys that are showing up every day, putting in 100%. They focus on sales. They're actually out there on the door. We actually changed that and went to a canvassing model also. So we went from guys out canvassing, then we just bring in our good closers. The numbers of the company came up because you got good people closing jobs versus just guys out randomly doing what they want to do all day. So you have to bring structure to roofing, and you have to have good systems and processes if you want to scale effectively. If not, you just got craziness going on. You also have to be able to basically pull good data too. Like if you don't have data and you're not data driven, you don't have anything. So I know a lot of companies that go out, they dump a lot of money in marketing. They have no idea where their marketing goes. They just throw it out there and hope it gets a return. You really need to be able to see exactly where money's going, what you're doing, right, in order to scale effectively. And that's what we kind of were able to pull together.
I like the way that you put it in terms of process. So there's a guy named Stelly FT. He's not in the roofing space,
right?
But he designed a CRM and he's had a couple of like giant exits. This guy's done 2 exits north of $600 million.
Holy cow.
So Stelly was speaking on stage, and there's a video of him explaining his story, but he's speaking on stage and he's got a flight that afternoon, but he looks at the roster for the following speakers, and there's a guy who's a prolific sales manager. He never says the name, so I don't know the name. So he canceled his flight. He wanted to see this guy speak. And he watches this speech, and he said he was expecting fireworks, but there weren't fireworks. It was a great speech, but there were no fireworks. So Stelly waited till afterwards, met the guy backstage, and was like, hey, man, where were the fireworks? Like, I thought you were like the guy. And the guy laughed, and Stelly said his response was, you know what's funny about that speech? Every one of my sales reps can give the same speech. Every single one of them.
Yep. You have to have people consistent on the same page. I'm a firm believer in rolling out a great sales process where everybody does everything the same. I know at one time in business, as you grow, right, another level, another devil, right? As you grow, things change. 3 million to 6 million looks totally different. 6 million to 10 looks different. And as you scale a business, everything changes. And I always encourage people to get a good system and process all the way through production, all the way through the sales presentation and everything. You can take guys that aren't the best sales guys, get them producing at a high level if they're in a good sales process. So,
agreed.
Yeah, I heard you talk a lot about data, and I know you're a data guy. So why don't you talk about the importance of collecting that data for SOPs, KPIs, and marketing purposes?
Man, that is a super broad question.
Right, but I know you kind of
Yeah.
like the importance of collecting that data so you can make intelligent decisions later on. If you're,
So there's two quotes that stand out to me. The first one is perception is reality until proven otherwise. So anytime you speak to your team, you speak to your managers, you speak to the owners, everybody has their perception. If I want to prove them otherwise, I don't want to just convince them because it's me talking. I'd like to give them data and help them see or have a new perception, have a new realization.
correct.
The second quote is, you can't grow what you don't measure. So with those two quotes, I learned those at separate times and separate meetings from people who were relentless about data. And it became a part of my DNA. If we do something, we have to have data, period. Because I don't have it. You know this. Eventually, you don't have time to twist people's arms anymore. But if I have a use case and a proof case, then we can just make decisions and nobody's emotions have to be involved.
So I always say, what you can't measure, you cannot scale. It's impossible.
Yeah.
It's impossible. I see it every day in roofing companies, especially guys that just ramp up. I was talking to a guy last night. I went from 7 to 20 million. I have a mess. They don't know if they're making money. They're just going through the motions. You have no idea. And it's what I was telling them. I hate the way we do roofing where we say, hey, our identity, we're a $3 million company, $10 million company, 20, whatever it is. Really, the truth is I've seen guys doing 15 million. They ain't making a nickel. I've seen it multiple times. We're going bankrupt. We can't even pay the light bill. I'm like, you're doing 15 million, you can't pay the light bill. What you can't measure, you can't scale. If you don't know what your profit is, you're in trouble. I tell my wife that all the time. I'm like, if we are not tracking profit in a company, we're wasting our time. So are we doing that for bragging rights? It's really, we all should stand up and say, how much profit do we make? I mean, nobody wants to do that. But that's the reality.
Yeah, that's the real flex. The net profit, not pros.
Correct, net profit.
Yeah, and how do you get there, and how do you keep it, and how do you raise it? Do you know which levers to push? Which buttons to start to push to gain that net profit. That's something that early on in my career, I too just kind of watched the till turn. I wasn't necessarily paying attention to the net profit. And then in 2008, the recession hit, and that's when I was like, "Holy shit!"
You get top heavy in a hurry.
Yeah, you get
things slow down.
Right.
You keep the same people.
Exactly.
You don't know when to make the switch. If that's what I was telling you the other night. You have to be able to make the switch overnight. You're a business owner. If you have to let some people go, lay some people off. I'm a big fan of automated this day and age systems and processes and automations where you can, instead of have to have three people hired on doing a job, you can have one or two. We all need to try to lean up with private equity coming hard into the space. That's what their goal is. Guys that are going to run 10 million, 8, 10, $15 million companies are going to have to run really lean to be able to compete in the landscape of where it's going. Yeah. I'm a firm believer in that.
For sure. And you got to make it easily duplicatable, easily trainable to your team. Cause like you were saying that, sit there and twist somebody's arm, and I can only imagine what you went through from changing your business model from, 1099, basically subcontractor to a W-2 employee. I remember when we had to go through that transition too, and we got hit, workers' comp audited us 2 years in a row. And we ended up paying 25 cents for every dollar.
Sucks, doesn't it?
Everybody. So it was a hard lesson learned, but that's how SOPs get created. That's how systems and operating procedures, for me, through mistakes, trial and error, and things like that. But the thing that I noticed when we switched over to W-2, the quality of people that we started to attract. Now, they weren't all from the roofing industry. It was just people that were actually like looking for a career, people that had to pay child support but needed somebody else to take it out, somebody that wanted to pay taxes and receive a tax return at the end of the year.
Benefits. So, people want benefits.
Yeah, absolutely. So what you've done essentially, in your case and in my case, is that we've created a career for people. You're no longer a subcontractor building a business within the business. And I think that's what a lot of these 1099 sales people think, that
they become loose cannons.
Yeah.
One day they're working over here, the next day they're working over there. Whoever gives me the best deal, and they pull too much business with them.
Yeah.
So the business has to control the business. You can't have a sales rep that controls your company. If you do, I mean, I've seen so many guys I've coached and worked with that call up and they're like, oh my gosh, and they're just in a panic. So-and-so has been with me for 10 years. The top 20% do 80% of the business. It's that way throughout the industry, right?
Well, and they're not representing your company well, because your team is your brand. So if they're wearing 3 different hats because they're working for 3 different contractors that they're selling for, they're not necessarily representing your company, their company, what should be their company as well, is how they should feel. They're not representing it well. And how can you have a culture when, like you said, and I've used the same terminology, a wild, wild west, where they're just kind of out gunslinging?
It literally is the wild, wild west. I've been there. And one thing I appreciate about the industry today, with social media, with all the different avenues out there, is you can get help. So back 15 years ago, 20 years ago, I've been in it for 23 years. When I first started, it was the school of hard knocks. Like, we figured it out by making mistakes. You know, I always tell people, I can tell you what not to do. We can probably talk about what not to do, because, making mistakes is where you grow, you get better. So like, people have an advantage to come to events like this and leverage them, because you can hear from a lot of guys that have made the mistakes and they can save you 5 years.
Oh yeah.
Not everything you put on paper, it sounds like a good idea, is a great idea. And so,
and part of what you guys are doing with Behind the Tool Belt, right?
Yeah.
And there's all kinds of this content out there. I mean, you guys are sticking with it 249 weeks so that you can share this kind of stuff with the guys out there that, we talked to, blanking on his name now, Blake, right? And Lauda last night. And they're a young couple. They started in March, and sounds like they're doing really well. Yeah. But it's easy to lose track of these fundamentals that you guys are talking about, because they're seeing sales, right? And they have, I think they said even have 8 salespeople already. Yeah.
That's crazy. That's amazing.
That's phenomenal. But it's easy to become the wild, wild west when you're focused on, hey, we got sales coming in, but if we're not focused on profit, we're not focused on processes and procedures. Now, if they're listening, I think they're doing a really good job of that, because they talked a lot about how important it is. And Lauda was saying that's kind of my role in the company. But these platforms, like you're saying, is just free advice. I mean, being in the door-to-door space, a lot of guys say, well, do you have any advice on scripting or objection handling? I'm like, just go on YouTube. Because whatever
it's all there. Yeah,
whatever I tell you, it's just going to be something that I am repeating from Deshaun Bryant or Tony Hody, or all the content's out there already. And so you're right. I mean, it's amazing what's available.
Yeah, it used to not be. It's crazy how far we've come in 10 years, really.
Yeah, I was going to say
right? 10 years.
For sure. Yeah, because I wish we would have had I remember when we were running Yellow Book ads. We didn't even have a website. You know what I mean? And then Yellow Book went to digital. So then that's how our website got created. That's where, because we started 321 Gutter Done, because I couldn't afford keywords like roofing.
That's such a Yellow Pages domain name too.
Yeah. And we stuck with it. That's what it does. We do have www.tcbacker.com.
50K for the Yellow Pages ad and $2 million in sales, right?
Easy, right?
That's funny.
But we did what we had to do to get by, and a lot of it was networking and referrals. We didn't have social media. And that's what I'm actually going to talk about at my breakout at RoofCon is, the importance of partnerships and networking with manufacturing distribution.
It's all about relationships.
Yeah, totally. And
100%.
50% of our business today is referral based or return customers. And I was just talking about, like, you need to, if you can't track, and if you are tracking where they are coming from, you should pay attention to how many are return customers. If 10% of your business is referrals, then you should shoot for 20%. Once you reach 20%, you should go for 30%. But I think the rule of thumb is 50% of your book of business should be return customers and referrals. That's just my opinion. I don't think we should rely so much on Google, pay-per-click ads, organic, SEO. I mean, you can spend $1 million on Google and still not. And I think that's what everybody thinks where the silver bullet is. Like, the more, if I pay a marketing company to come in and market our business, that's great. You need that. But if you haven't built a brand and if you haven't built a reputation yet, what are you marketing?
Nothing.
What are you spending money on if you haven't built that like no trust? And let's talk about respect. Like if no one even respects you in the space, like
And to
are they
John's
going to use you?
and to John's point, the process is too, because even if you have the marketing
Mhm.
at scale, if you get your marketing right and your sales team doesn't know how to convert it, ask anybody who has ever run an agency and sent leads to a roofing company or any kind of company. They can get leads, but so many times, if you do a spot check and just call your team
Mhm.
and just see how they answer the phone, just see if you're happy with the way they answer the phone. See if you're happy with the way that they delegate the lead out to the sales team. See if you're happy with the sales team and how they follow up with you or confirm your appointment. Every one of these is a breakage point. And
Cost per acquisition, buddy. You have to know your CPAs. If you don't know that, you don't have anything. To his point, you can go throw tens of thousands of dollars at Google and never sell a job or not sell very many.
yes,
Yeah, for sure. I think we've all been that.
and
5 minutes.
I'll say this just one last thing on people seeking or taking advice or mentorship. Man, I get to meet a lot of roofing companies and we get to invite them to take part, even in free things. And the resistance, there's an ego, there's an air of like, I'm too good or I don't have time for free advice. Sometimes you know you do have to be careful where you get it from, but sometimes you need to put your ego in your back pocket for a minute. The way I call it, and kind of the premise of this event here, we're calling it time travel. If it takes 10 years to go learn a hard lesson, and you can ask either one of these two guys,
We would know. Yeah.
10 years to go learn a hard lesson, but I could give you one sentence that if you listened to me without question and implemented that in your business, it would prevent you 10 years. You wouldn't lose those 10 years of heartache and touching
Correct.
frying pans. Your business just doesn't have to suffer that.
We made the mistakes. And so you don't have to.
Yeah.
And yeah, you learn a lot over the years. Like experience is, in my opinion, still the best teacher.
Sure. Yeah, you definitely don't touch the hot frying pan twice.
No. You learn quick, especially when it affects your pocketbook.
Yeah.
Usually it does cost you something though, before, at least for a knucklehead like me, I gotta, even though you're telling me, because I feel like you're talking to me, even, by the way, but I'm a knucklehead. I can be egotistical. I'm a control freak, and it's not a good idea until I think it's a good idea. But we know a lot of us are like that. And like you were talking about, it's like we can save you 10 years, 10 years of a lot of money, a lot of heartache, a lot of pain, a lot of missed time with your family, because that was something that I did too. But there is going to be a sacrifice up front. I don't care what business you're starting. It's going to be, nose to the grindstone for a little bit until you can kind of master everything. And then you learn how to delegate from there. And start to empower your people, and then they become better at it than you were. And then that's where this thing just kind of starts to blossom into a beautiful machine where you're creating impact and creating opportunity for other people that maybe not didn't have an opportunity, and that's what the roofing space has really done for me over the years. It's given me the opportunity to take care of my family, to better myself personally and professionally. But with the coolest part of it, and especially by being here, like we're not paid to be here. Like this is where I find my joy. Every week that we do Behind the Tool Belt is just sharing my experience, strength, and hope with other people. And then those that come on the show are also willing to be vulnerable with me. Like, yeah, look, this hasn't been perfect. This really sucked many times. I made a lot of mistakes along the way. We're still here to talk about it. And really, that's why we're here. So like, let's talk about the experiences that we've gone through and here to answer your questions. Like, ask me anything. I know you're the same way. I know you're the same way. I've asked you probably some of the stupidest questions in the world.
No, you have.
And same with you, Chris. I mean, we've talked about some pretty crazy stuff that I probably wouldn't share with anybody else, but I knew I was going to get solid advice from you. You know what I mean? And that's really what it's about. It's like the roofing isn't like a career, it's a lifestyle.
Correct.
You know what I mean? And once you made that commitment to join the lifestyle of the roofing industry, it's like once you find there is a lot of bad information out there, and there's so many tools and technology. It's like we don't even know which way to go. But if you can master your accounting software, get yourself like a aerial roofing measurement tool and get a CRM. I think if you're first starting out in your first year to 3 years, I really don't think you need much more than that.
Yeah.
Correct
You
me
get
if I'm
over
wrong.
probably, I think that $10 million mark, it's like the mark where you need to start looking at more automated software nowadays. We have it available. It'll change your life.
Yeah, for sure.
And
Yeah.
get into a community of
Until then, don't.
Sorry. Get into a community of guys that can help you navigate that stuff and lift you up, and they can bounce ideas off of. And that's what I think is so great about the Limitless group.
Yeah.
You know, I talked to a couple of guys at the mixer last night, and that was one of the reasons why they're here today, is they just want to connect with you guys and ask questions and just hear your story. So I'm really excited.
That's the other piece of that. Like, I was kind of harsh on people with big egos. I'm also very fortunate. We get to spend a lot of time with people who have already checked their ego, and then they come like sponges, just ready to absorb knowledge. Like, and that's fulfilling. That's super fulfilling.
And they don't treat their knowledge like it's some secret sauce. Like,
No,
I feel like I've met some of those people. It's like, we want to share. That's their secret sauce. And it's like, yeah, but you still have to do it. You know, so the guys like you guys want to share it because you know that, listen, it's not going to be easy. Me telling you the secret sauce is like 5%.
You got to put the effort in.
You got to put the effort in. So, you know
this, being a tech founder, like, I can share the idea, but then there's the implementation. Just because I share it with 100 people, none of them are going to go and recreate what I did.
Right.
And even if they did, they're going to do it in their own way. When it comes to the roofing industry, there's a lot of stuff on the horizon. You can speak to this.
Oh my gosh.
This a lot better than I can. But there's stuff on the horizon that, if the leaders share all of that stuff openly, it's going to raise a rising tide raises all ships, and it's going to change the industry, I think, for the better.
Yeah, we have to all be very proactive to changes coming, especially in the insurance landscape. We're talking a lot about that today. We got to have a very proactive approach to the future of roofing if we want to continue to scale and grow and be successful in our businesses.
For sure. For sure. Well, we got the signal that we had 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago.
10 minutes ago.
Yeah, 10 minutes ago. So, man, thank you guys.
Yes, thank you for giving us an opportunity.
Pouring, your life into the roofing industry, Robert, Chris. Thank you guys so much.
You bet.
And if you haven't liked, loved, subscribed, please go onto our YouTube channel, Facebook channel, Instagram, Beyond the Tool Belt, Tiebacker, www.beyondthetoolbelt.com. If you haven't done it yet, please do that. Until next week, episode 250. I think we have, I can't think of the guy's name. Roof Nuts coming on.
Good.
Roofing Nuts. He's flying
door to
in.
door.
Yeah, so he's flying in. He'll be in studio.
Jay Bradley.
Next week. Yeah, Jay Bradley. Sorry, Jay, if you're listening. Sorry about that. I'm hell with people's names. By the way, that's why I asked you how to pronounce your last name 3 times. But anyhow, until next week, you guys take care of each other. And thank you for watching another great episode of the Young Tool Belt.